If you think Ohio State sports begin and end with a packed football stadium on a Saturday afternoon, you are missing one of the coolest experiences in Columbus. Literally. Because just a short distance from Ohio Stadium, the Buckeyes trade the football field for a sheet of ice. And if you have never attended an Ohio State men's hockey game, you might be surprised by just how much is packed into one night. The speed, the hitting, the traditions, the rivalries, the band, the atmosphere, and of course the chance to yell, "OH!" and hear thousands of people answer, "I-O!" So today I'm going to take you inside an Ohio State men's hockey game. We'll talk about where the Buckeyes play, what the game day experience is like, the history of the program, some impressive stats, how college hockey works, Ohio State traditions, and what you should know before attending your first game. And stick around, because there's one Ohio State hockey tradition that takes one of the most famous traditions in all of college sports and puts it on ice. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Shot, first things first. Where does Ohio State men's hockey actually play? The Buckeyes play their home games at Value City Arena, inside the Jerome Schottenstein Center in Columbus, Ohio. Most Ohio State fans simply call it the Shot. The Schottenstein Center is located on the northwest side of Ohio State's campus, near the university's massive athletics district. It opened in 1998 and is a multi-purpose arena used for Ohio State athletics, concerts, shows, and major events. For hockey, the building can transform into an enormous ice arena. And when you walk into the Shot for a Buckeye hockey game, there is something immediately different about the experience. You're indoors. You're close to the action. You can hear skates cutting into the ice. You hear the puck hit the boards. You hear sticks collide. And when a player gets checked into the glass right in front of you, you don't just see it. You feel it. That is one of the things television simply cannot reproduce about hockey. The game is much faster in person. A play can go from behind one net to a scoring opportunity at the opposite end of the rink in seconds. And that makes hockey a fantastic spectator sport, even if you don't know every rule. In fact, I would argue that hockey might be one of those sports that becomes easier to understand once you watch it live. But before we get into the rules, you need to understand exactly who you're watching. Because Ohio State hockey has a history that goes back much further than many Buckeye fans realize. The history of Ohio State men's hockey. Ohio State's first varsity men's hockey season was in 1963. So while the hockey program obviously doesn't have the century-plus history of Ohio State football, the Buckeyes have now been competing on the ice for more than 6 decades. And during that time, Ohio State has built a legitimate national hockey resume. The program has reached the NCAA tournament numerous times. In 2025, Ohio State earned the program's 11th NCAA tournament appearance. The Buckeyes have also reached college hockey's biggest stage, the Frozen Four, and they have done it twice. The first came in 1998. Then, 20 years later, the Buckeyes returned to the Frozen Four in 2018. That 2018 team finished with 26 wins. And 1 year later, Ohio State accomplished something else significant. The Buckeyes won the 2019 Big Ten regular season championship. That was Ohio State's first Big Ten regular season hockey title and the school's first regular season conference championship in men's hockey since 1972. So this is not simply another activity happening on campus during the winter. Ohio State has competed at the highest levels of college hockey, And that brings us to something that might surprise fans who primarily follow football or basketball. The Big Ten is absolutely loaded when it comes to hockey. Big Ten hockey is different. College hockey does not look exactly like the conference structure you might be used to in other sports. Not every Big Ten university sponsors Division I men's ice hockey, but the schools that do make for some incredible matchups. For Ohio State, conference play has included programs such as Michigan, Michigan State, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Penn State, and Notre Dame. Think about those names for a second. Michigan, Michigan State, Minnesota, Wisconsin. These are schools with serious hockey history. Then add Ohio State, Penn State, and Notre Dame to the mix. There are very few easy nights. And yes, if you're wondering whether the rivalry with Michigan carries over onto the ice, it absolutely does. Ohio State versus Michigan in hockey has all the ingredients you would expect. Scarlet and gray on one side, maize and blue on the other. The bands, the chants. If you are choosing your first Ohio State hockey game, and there's a home series against Michigan on the schedule, that is a pretty good place to start. But here is something else that makes college hockey interesting. Teams normally play 2-game weekend series. So instead of seeing the same conference opponent once and moving on, you will often see Ohio State play that team on back-to-back nights. That creates a fascinating dynamic. Friday night can affect Saturday night. Tempers carry over. Coaches make adjustments. Goalies can change. And when two teams really dislike each other, the second game can feel like the continuation of something that started 24 hours earlier. Now, if you're new to hockey, you might be thinking, great, but what am I actually watching? So here is the speed run version, hockey for the first-time fan. A standard college hockey game has 3 periods. Each period is 20 minutes. There are 6 players per team on the ice under normal circumstances. That includes 5 skaters and 1 goaltender. The objective is simple. Put the puck in the other team's net more times than they put it in yours. Easy enough. But hockey becomes really interesting because players substitute constantly while the game is happening. These substitutions are called line changes. Unlike basketball, where play generally stops for substitutions, hockey players can jump onto and off the ice while the puck is still live. That means you will see players skating hard for relatively short shifts and then racing back to the bench as fresh players replace them. Another thing you will hear about is the power play. If a player commits certain penalties, that player can be sent to the penalty box. That leaves his team shorthanded. So instead of 5 skaters against 5, you might have 5 against 4. The team with the extra skater is on the power play. The shorthanded team is trying to kill the penalty. And suddenly, every pass becomes more dangerous. Every shot gets more important. And the entire arena knows a goal could be seconds away. You will also hear the word icing. In simple terms, icing generally happens when a player shoots the puck from his own side of the center line all the way beyond the opponent's goal line without it being touched. There are exceptions and details, but for your first game, that explanation gets you most of the way there. Then there's offside. The easiest way to understand that is this. The puck needs to enter the offensive zone before the attacking players do. Once you understand those basics, you can follow most of what is happening. But here's my biggest piece of advice. Don't spend your first hockey game obsessing over every rule. Watch the flow. Watch how quickly possession changes. Watch the goalie. Watch the players without the puck. And pay attention when a team suddenly creates an odd man rush toward the net, because that is when everybody in the building starts leaning forward at the same time. And when that puck hits the back of the net, you'll understand why hockey fans love this sport. What makes the live experience so good? Here is the part people underestimate about attending hockey in person: the sound. Hockey has an incredible soundtrack. Not the music being played through the arena speakers, the actual game. Skates scraping across fresh ice, the crack of a stick hitting the puck slamming against the boards, the whistle, the crowd reacting to a big save, and the sudden explosion when Ohio State scores. There is also something mesmerizing about watching the ice itself change throughout the game. At the beginning of a period, the surface is smooth and bright. As players skate, stop, turn, and battle for the puck, that ice gets carved up. Then, during intermission, out comes the ice resurfacer. And yes, most people simply call it a Zamboni, although Zamboni is actually a brand name. The machine circles the rink, resurfaces the ice, and a few minutes later, the teams come back out to a clean sheet. But Ohio State being Ohio State, even the intermissions can turn into part of the show. And that leads us to one of the coolest traditions you might see. Yes, these players can reach the NHL. And if you're wondering about the talent level, remember that college hockey is a legitimate path to professional hockey. NCAA hockey players are regularly selected in the NHL draft and move on to professional careers. That means when you attend an Ohio State game, you could be watching players who will eventually skate at hockey's highest professional level. But college hockey players often arrive on campus differently than athletes in some other college sports. Many elite players spend time developing in junior hockey before college. So a freshman hockey player may be older and more physically developed than the freshman athlete you picture in another sport. Combine that with high-level skating, strength, speed, and years of development. And the quality of hockey is outstanding, which brings me to something I recommend if this is your first game. Get there early. What to do before the game? Do not walk through the doors 5 minutes before puck drop if you can avoid it. Give yourself time. Find your seats. Walk the concourse. Grab something to eat. Take in the arena. And most importantly, watch warm-ups. Hockey warm-ups are fantastic from close range. This is where you begin to appreciate how skilled these players really are. Watch how quickly they move the puck. Watch how hard they shoot. Watch the goalies tracking shots through traffic, and listen when a puck hits the glass. On television, hockey can sometimes look controlled. From rink level, it looks ridiculously fast. If you have children with you, getting close to the glass for warm-ups can be one of the highlights of the entire night. Then, as puck drop approaches, head back to your seats, because this is where the game day energy starts building. The lights, the introductions, the music, the band, the crowd, and then the puck drops. Where should you sit? So what are the best seats? That depends on what you want. Sitting closer to the glass gives you intensity. You see the players up close. You feel the checks. You appreciate the size and speed of the athletes. But there is a trade-off. The closer you are, the harder it can be to see the entire play developing. If you sit a little higher and closer to center ice, you get a better tactical view. You can see both ends. You can watch plays develop. You can see line changes and defensive positioning. And if you are new to hockey, that elevated view can make the game easier to follow. Behind the goal is another interesting perspective. You can see shooting lanes develop and appreciate just how difficult a goalie's job really is. There isn't one universally perfect seat. There are different experiences. For your first game, though, I would lean towards somewhere with a clear view of the full ice. Then, during warm-ups, go down closer and experience the speed from rink level. You get the best of both worlds. What should you wear? This one is easy. Scarlet, gray, Ohio State gear. A hockey jersey if you have one. And yes, even though you're inside, remember that you are sitting in a building containing a giant sheet of ice. You probably don't need to dress like you're standing outside in a January snowstorm, but a sweatshirt, hoodie, or a light jacket is a smart idea. And if it happens to be a scarlet out, wear scarlet. Because when an entire section or an entire arena buys into the theme, it makes the atmosphere that much better. The one game I would circle. If someone told me they could attend only one Ohio State men's hockey series and asked which opponent I would look for, Michigan would be very high on the list. You already know why. Ohio State and Michigan do not need much help creating a rivalry. Every sport inherits a little of that history, and hockey adds its own physical edge. But Michigan isn't the only great opponent. Michigan State has a major hockey tradition. Minnesota and Wisconsin have deep roots in the sport. Penn State has developed into a serious Big Ten hockey program. And Notre Dame brings another recognizable national brand into the conference schedule. The beauty of Big Ten hockey is that a random winter weekend can put an elite opponent on Ohio State's home ice. Why you should experience it at least once. Here is what I think makes Ohio State men's hockey worth attending. It gives you a completely different way to experience Buckeye culture. Everybody knows about football Saturdays. More than 100,000 people. Tailgating, the marching band, Ohio Stadium. And that experience deserves its reputation. But Ohio State is much bigger than one sport. At a hockey game, you still get the scarlet and gray. You still get Brutus. You still get the band. You still get the rivalries. You still get OHIO. But now it is happening around a 200-foot sheet of ice with players flying around at incredible speed. And because hockey is so continuous, there is very little time to look away. A harmless-looking possession can become a breakaway. A penalty can completely change the momentum. A goalie can make an impossible save. A shot can hit the post. A puck can deflect off a skate. And suddenly, goal. That unpredictability keeps you locked in. And when you combine it with the traditions of Ohio State, you get something that feels both familiar and completely different. Final thoughts. So, if you have never attended an Ohio State men's hockey game, here is the game plan. Pick a home game at the Schott. If you can, choose a Big Ten opponent or rivalry series. Check whether Ohio State has a special promotion scheduled for that night. Wear scarlet and gray, arrive early, go down toward the glass and watch warm-ups. Then find your seat before puck drop. Don't worry if you don't know every rule. You'll pick it up. Watch the speed, listen to the sounds, follow the crowd, experience the band. Join the chants. And if you happen to attend a game featuring Script Ohio on ice, make sure you stay in your seat during intermission, because that might be the perfect symbol for Ohio State hockey, one of the most famous traditions in college sports, reimagined on a sheet of ice. Ohio State men's hockey has been around since the 1960s. The program has made multiple runs to the Frozen Four. It has won conference championships. It has produced professional level talent. It plays against some of the biggest names in college hockey. And every winter, another season unfolds inside the Schott. So the next time you're looking for something to do in Columbus on a cold Friday or Saturday night, you could stay home. You could watch another game on television. Or you could throw on some scarlet and gray, head to the Schott, hear the skates hit the ice, watch the Buckeyes come flying out for warm-ups, and experience Ohio State from a completely different perspective. And when somebody on the other side of the arena yells, "Oh," you'll know exactly what to do. I-O, go Bucks.